everybody, thank you very much for joining me today. Today's reading is going to be what are your blind spot or spots in relationships or a particular relationship. It's going to be your take on my translation of the cards. So we have got three choices: Freesia for number 1, Morning Mist for number 2 and Russet Orange for number 3. If you're watching and you haven't subscribed yet, please do, because it keeps the channel alive basically. I'm going to let you choose which one you fancy. See you in a minute.
La música de Harry Fraud.
Hi there, pile number 1. I've had quite a few false starts today, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to speak quite fast. If I speak fast, it tends to come out a bit better. Not that it's more articulate, but it's me just getting out of my own way in some way. What you've got here is you've got the King of Swords and you've got the 2 Pentacle cards in the central pile. So that to me makes me think that you are mentally astute enough to be able to know what's needed, what you need to put into a relationship to get back what you want. You've got a very receptive feel on this side of the Lovers and the High Priestess and the Empress. So to me, that is a feeling that you know how to get what you want, but you don't really assert yourself to go and get it. You sit back and lie back and expect by some form of magnetism for it to come towards you. But there's so much back work going on in this. This is like somebody who knows where this person lives, knows lots about them, knows their chart, looked at their chart. Was that just me? And you put a lot of effort into it, so you're very expectant. You've got a lot of energy going towards this person right from the get-go. And I think, to be honest, it is because you are probably incredibly receptive and incredibly bright, which can be the downfall of everybody, to be honest. The more straightforward we are as mammals, when you've got Mars over here, if you're the person, sometimes it's easier for us. But we don't want to be acting, like stoats our whole life, do we, with the Mars card there, which is just very direct, very straightforward, doesn't really... Your person's not like that because you've got lots here that you basically share with each other. Then you get onto the 8 of Pentacles over here. And the first time I did this pile, before the phone rang and bits and bobs, I was thinking of Charlotte's Web, and then I'm looking at your person over here, and you're weaving your web and you're making it happen, and you're all invested in the relationship here. Your person shares some of that in themselves. They've got the 7 of Earth and they've got the Son of Swords down here, as you have. So there's something you connect, and there's something quite, I'm going to say this and I don't mean it in a negative way at all, but calculated. I mean that it's a compliment. It's like you understand the situation and you're prepared to work towards it. So there is a better word for that, but that's what I mean. It's somebody who is a planner and is bright. And that's not the right word, but hopefully you know what I mean. Your person's similar, as I said here, but you've got the Mars and you've got the 10 of Wands. And when I saw these two cards together, it made me flick back to how many times I've watched... Not how many times, but quite a few times, and I've watched couples meet ex-boyfriends and ex-girlfriends, and somehow it can be really awkward because the feelings are still there, or there's still some either resentment or love or something still going on there, and so that interaction is harder. And I've seen people with Mars and possibly this feeling of the 10 of Wands meet ex-boyfriends, ex-girlfriends, and it's like either it doesn't bother them at all, or they're very sort of open with the other person. This was like the opposite to Pluto, this feeling here. It's more like when a relationship's finished, I've moved on, and this is your person here, where I feel that there's an air of innocence with you, with the Page of Wands there twice. So when things are lost, you're almost forlorn. So I feel that although there are similarities here, and this may even have a work feeling behind it, that you admire the way that this person works because they work the same way as you do. Somebody that likes to start early, somebody that likes to have a method or a plan or those bits ticked off from the to-do list, and somebody who is very bright. You're both very similar, but your person clicks off mentally a lot easier than you do, and you're coming from a more compassionate and quietly passionate backdrop here, which I feel probably with these working hard cards here, that you feel possibly hard done by in a relationship when this person possibly moves on so easily, or in a relationship if they can walk away from an argument easily. You know, it's that type, whether it's going on in the relationship or after a relationship, it will feel cold to you because you've got the cards, as I said earlier, of a very soft lover here on this side, and probably this is like a sweet feeling here with the 2 pages. You get up and you keep going, but inside it's like something else is taken from you. You know, something else hollows you out that little bit more. And to be honest, this could be some sort of metaphor for life in general. You start off really soft. You have to form a way of keeping your head above water in the centre here. So you use this sort of technique so that they work for you, but it's exhausting because you're not actually being your softest, most open self, and you always feel like you have to put an act on. And then each time you feel like it knocks a little bit of your childlike qualities out of you, that ability to be spontaneous, that ability to show your affection very easily, because you're almost protecting yourself from people who are similar to you but still have an hard edge. You know, this type of feeling here may be somebody whose parents were artists, or somebody whose parents were very compassionate and very much do the right thing for, for others first type of feeling. Okay. Right, so to summarise this pile number 1, this is a short reading for me because I've done it twice already. There is a feeling that your blockages in relationships has something to do with the amount of energy you put into them right from the very beginning. Your ability to love may not always be equal to the other person's ability to love, and to somehow understand that we're all not made the same way. And some people learning how to love more, and some people just automatically do it. This person may still be learning. There's a feeling of this person being a bit of a striver in life in some ways, which you may actually cross in some parts, but your basic instincts is to possibly to allow life to be more beautiful. This person is still trying to slice through life a little bit with the Son of Swords and the Mars card there, that could be quite mentally quite tough, sort of cool with regards to some decisions that they make. And you may find that in work, if you know this person from work, where you are aiming for different things, and in that is your beauty. So don't lose that, but realise that not everybody else functions the same way as you do. Another blockage is to possibly not let go as easily as you should do and move on as easily as you should do, because they've got the 10 of Wands and the Mars card here, which will cut off quickly. And if you think of like the Mars, you know, people with fire in them, it's different. And when I'm saying fire, and I say this every time because I don't want anybody to be insulted, because we've all got Mars. You know, we've all probably got something somewhere that speaks of fire inside us. But people who are like mainly Aries, mainly Sagittarius, not so much Leo because it's fixed, they are excited by life, and that is their beauty, and it's their ability to push is what they're here to do. It's their ability to basically achieve things and for people to follow them and to balance themselves out. But them with this here in a relationship question, it's tough for you with that here, I would say. And I feel that you feel that they've taken something from you and bruised you a little bit. So if this was my pile and I was reading this and I'm thinking, well, how can I improve myself? How can I know what I'm doing wrong? It's investing too much, too hard, too early. It's expecting other people to have the same softness as you, and it's holding on too long here. This is a tough reading by the title, I suppose, but that is what I can say. And trying too hard when you should actually be showing that person who you are, because I feel that they need to learn more from you than vice versa. This, the Son of Swords, the Mars card, is easier for us in the world today. It's easier for us to achieve that. This, the Lovers, the High Priestess and the Empress, is far harder. There is some quote by Dalai Lama. It's like the world doesn't need more achievers or something like that. I'm going to shorten it because I don't know it. They need more lovers and more artists and more, it's that type of thing. And that's what you're coming across with your person here. Shares bits that you admire, but is tougher. So I'm going to leave you there because I feel like I summarised it just before that bit. I hope that helps in some way. Don't lose this, because you possibly could have been working on that lifetimes and lifetimes, and that is something to behold. I'm going to leave that there with what sounds like some sort of hymn from school. I'm going to go bye. Okay, this type of question, and I apologise, can feel as if I'm being grumpy with people, and I don't mean to be, but I'm just going to tell you quickly what I can see. The quicker I say it, the less I think that I'm being rude. There's a feeling here, the words that came through to me initially were exasperating in some way, and there's a feeling here of confusion. There's a feeling here starting with a raw cash test, and then coming across the shadow self, and then to the King of Swords. There's a feeling of chaos. Oh my gosh, this just sounds so rude. Bear with me, it will get better. I didn't feel it was negative at all. The shadow self here is then possibly making decisions that are quite based on chaotic thoughts in a negative way. And then the King of Swords making it real, and then being a little bit more straight with your thought processes a little bit too late. I'm just reading this pile here. If this isn't yours, then just totally ignore it and say, you can just, actually don't comment, rude lady, but this is what I've got, and I can explain the cards, and let's pretend we're not talking about anybody. Chaotic, trying to work out the bits that you've tripped yourself up on, and that feeling like it's burnt a little bit self. The shadow self is the hard bits that haven't worked inside ourselves that we need to look inward at. Then the King of Swords is, once you've got that, then you can articulate it, then you can understand it. But why is that coming at the end? It would be so much better if that were at the beginning, when you went into a situation that started with a clear understanding, rather than going through this process at the beginning. So to me, and without looking at the rest of these cards here, one of your blockages in relationship could be, I want to turn that way around so it looks like a tree with eyes, or a spine, is with nerves, is your inability to know what you want from somebody from the very beginning. Know what makes you happy. So you go into a relationship and you've got sort of like muddled ideas of what's going to make you fulfilled, and whether that person can actually deliver that is basically anybody's guess at the moment. You have got down here very concrete pentacly cards here. So to me, with the Temperance card, there's a feeling of luck will get me there, or with the Temperance card here, and I'm prepared to put the effort in. So you're trying too hard without a idea of where you're going from the very beginning, which I suppose that isn't love anyway, is it? Most of the time love just basically blows your boots off and you don't even know what's going on. but I wonder if this has been a particular journey that you've been on, because all these cards here tell me that you work really hard on yourself. You've got what I guess is quite an idealistic viewpoint of where you want to go, but you're not really sure what the end result is going to be. And then there's some sort of awakening further down the track that allows you to see where you've tripped up with the shadow self here, or where your expectancies that were basically muddled in the first place weren't met and you feel disappointed. Then you've got the Death card here, and then the Queen of Cups is looking that way. So your emotions are like, well, what happened? You know, I was giving, I was kind. And the Six of Swords then goes into the healing process. Then you've got your person coming across here, and this is probably what made me say exasperated, because they've got their hands behind their head, and it's like, oh my Lord, what went on there? But you've got here as well the Pallas Athena. You know, you've got this chaotic Rorschach test up here, and they've got Pallas Athena, which is more of a understanding patterns and understanding processes and past relationships and this relationship, and almost like guessing what's coming next, where you're almost like, you know, throw yourself into it and let's just see how it goes, which is more like love, I suppose, the more that I go into it. But then, and I can understand this totally. The shadow self down here is then you start meeting parts of yourself that you didn't really want to meet. And maybe if you had the palace here and it was swapped, and you could see the past in past relationships, then you wouldn't get to be questioning your shadow self or sitting in that tree peeking out thinking, this is a bit uncomfortable. So learning by your lessons, which Temperance Sagittarius card down here is probably Sagittarius' biggest fall down. They never, ever, and this isn't if you just got one Sagittarius planet. If you're Sagittarius all the way through, you may agree with this, because you'd be basically honest. They don't learn by their lessons. Their exuberance for life, their passion and their joyfulness and their ability to think that everything will be all right in the end is their best point, but also they can get themselves into situations that are tough and repeated. And I've had many phone calls, well, about 2 or 3, from Sagittarius type friends who've got themselves into shady situations. Not just like, can you pick me up? It's 4 o'clock in the morning, but I've basically taken a job. I'm in the middle of Europe somewhere, and can you send me some money? You know, that type of thing, because it was such a great idea to begin with. So that could be, you could be very open with other people, very open with your own mindset, where you want to go, to the fact that, and then you work really hard. You're in there and because these are a bit all over the place, and then this is you putting the effort in. So you put a lot of energy into situations, but is the direction well thought out before? Have you sniffed this person out? Have they passed their interview test? Sorry, you can't see those. Let me move these a bit over for you. You know, it's not just in relationships, it isn't just you being interviewed, it's you interviewing them as well. It's not just them watching to see whether they want to start with the Ten of Wands, whether they want to start the Ace of Pentacles. Well, what did you want? What did you want from the beginning, and did they fulfill that? If somebody's putting this much effort in, and if somebody's this open, it's you that pays more in the end, not the other person. It's you that has to go through that happened again, or God, that was awful, or and did I do something wrong, and trying to sort it out in your mind with the King of Swords and the Ace of Swords here. And that can actually, with the Death card here and the Queen of Wands, it makes a big impact on how you react emotionally. It's draining to your emotions, is what I'm trying to say. Next situations, it's like you've got less to give because you feel a bit bruised in the last one. So your blockages or things that you need to stop doing in relationships possibly here would be to understand the person as best as you possibly can with eyes wide open, no rose tinted glasses. You know, you look at them, look at their past behaviour, look at their past relationships, look at the way they talk about their family, the way that they talk about their parents, the way that they see the life in general, and that will give you a really good impression of what this person's like. Not whether they've got like sexy legs, or they travel, and that really sounds exciting to you with these 2 cards here. It's what is this person's history? What do they say if you're really listening? You know, reading between the lines. Where are they coming from? And where do you want to go? Where do you want to be? And it can be a loose plan, but it needs to be a plan. Where do you want to be in a year's time or a month's time, with this person? Are you going to be disillusioned halfway down the track and then sort of berating yourself with a shadow self here, and then have an awakening a little bit too late? And you've put all the effort in, but it's dispersed in some way. It's not focused on where you want to be. And I know life isn't like this with people. You know, you can't really put it down. This is what I want. Tick, tick, tick. Yes, you fulfill that. But you've got to have some direction here. And I think that's where you may have tripped yourself up in the past, if this pal feels like you. But you're open, and you've got a fluidity, a spontaneity about you, which again, same as pile number 1, is difficult to maintain in life when there's so much structure. But if you're going to put this much effort in to a relationship once it's moving, you know, you've got to basically pull back occasionally before you get to the tree part, and just watch inside yourself. You know, what makes you happy? What type of activities? What type of person? Who have you fallen in love with before, and where did that fall down? And who have you fallen in love with, and how did they make you happy? And if you can tick off a few of those, that may be a reason to put this effort in. But not beforehand, because you don't want to get to this point again where you think, oh yeah, I saw that coming. Your person can see it coming. And your person, again, like pile number 1, has the ability to cut off situations with the 10 of Wands there when they feel wrong, and then you feel bruised and you're thinking, well, how did that end there? You know, that's really hurtful with the Queen of Cups here. And they start something else. So this pile wouldn't surprise me if you're watching this, whether you've seen a lover disappear and wondered why, and then you see them with somebody else, and then you wonder why again. So, to summarise, and I said this for the last pile, if this was my pile and I was trying to talk to myself, I would say in my next relationship to pull back a bit on the effort that I put into it until I'm sure of the person, to make sure I understand the person and their motives and their loves and what makes them tick, and whether that fits into where I feel, which is changeable, but mainly where I feel like I want to be in 6 months' time, or however long you want the relationship to last, really in the back of your head. To maintain your openness and your spontaneity and what I feel is a very freedom-loving personality, but to not allow your wildness in your thought, freedom in thought. I was watching that film the other day. To trip you up and make sure, so that you're paying back later on when it actually all becomes clear. And that's difficult for you, because you're going to end up feeling, by the time you get to like 80, 90, feeling like, God, that burnt. I've got nothing left to give. You know, my heart's basically a bit stewed up, and I'm not going to be able to give anymore, because there's lots of healing coming up after you've been through these situations. So keep yourself to yourself a little bit. Allow that other person to reveal themselves, and watch them and put the effort in slowly. Keep the shadow self going. Keep an eye on, you know, the cruddy bits in all of us that we need to improve. But do that gently and slowly as it's going along. Don't let it come to an abrupt feeling in the middle of a relationship when it's going downhill. Know yourself before you go in, basically, is what I'm saying, and know the other person. That may be where your blockages are. The inability to see what's in front of our face, or to accept what's in front of our face, and that coupled with a huge dose of enthusiasm can be quite tough. And you don't want to get to this part here with the Death and the Queen of Cups, where you feel like cutting out relationships altogether. No. Yeah, once again, there's a feeling here of a bohemian feel in here with regards to you, that needs to be a little bit more cut and dried with regards to your needs and what you honestly think that other person can give you. And I know love isn't about all what somebody's giving you, it's the other way around, but there's got to be an awareness there. Okay, pile number 2, I'm going to leave you there. I hope that helps in some way. Thank you very much for spending your time with me. Bye. Okay, pile, I haven't looked at this properly yet. I'll move these over for you. Pile number 3, russet orange. I've got a feeling here, but I will go through it and it may change. There's a feeling of steadiness in here. There's a feeling of dedication to a particular cause, and possibly getting lost in something. It's like you want something, but you don't give everything to it. And I'm sure you're all saying, because if you're watching tarot, there's going to be that sort of, I assume, I don't know, I'm not going to try and think I know that I don't. I'll explain the cards to you here. The King of Pentacles, the Magician card here, both of these like big cats are looking at me as if they know how the world works. The Magician knows how to manipulate the environment or to manipulate reality in some way to get things rolling in the way that they want them to. The King of Pentacles is very much aware of how, in a very earthy way, of how the world works and how to get, being the king, how to get, once again, things formulated in front of them that they like to have. There's like a feeling of structure, there's a feeling of finances, there's a feeling of like house, mortgage, everything set up. So what I'm getting here at these cards at the beginning is somebody who is well practiced in earthly things and getting what they need, or feeling that they get what they need. Maybe never really feel. Do we ever really feel that we get that? I don't know. It's forever wanting, isn't it, a lot of the time? But it's an earthy feeling of somebody who's going forward in life, trying to get themselves in a secure position. That's a better way to put it. You've got here again the Four of Wands below, which again, to me, it speaks of security. And the Knight of Pentacles is the ability to move steadily forward, to feel secure, the ability to work to it. Now this is a tricky one, and at the moment I'm not too sure about that. That is taking a different sort of, it's like taking an inroad to get somewhere else. So why would you have that amongst this steady, knowing, sensible pile? This to me feels like somebody who possibly could have chosen a path when they were young and stuck to it. But there's something itching here that you're questioning. So I don't know how that fits into your blind spots. I kept saying blockages earlier. It sounded like some sort of plumbing work. Then you've got the Son of Wands down here. Okay. There's a feeling here that what you wanted perhaps when you were younger, or your main intentions with regards to a partner, or what you feel you need from a partner, or what you find attractive in a partner, there may be either some interference in your mindset here with these cards here. You may be basically earthy, but then have a little bit of Uranus in you with that card. And maybe, sorry, this is the way I translate it in my head. And the Son of Wands down here, it's a bit of fire. So you go down a road that is fine and dandy, married for a long time, or long-term partner, or with a sensible partner, or drawn to somebody that you feel can give you that security that I felt at the beginning, and then you bulk against it, I would guess, here with this feeling here. And the russet orange as well, funny. Something sexual, something rather creative, sexy, creative, driven here. Don't know what that means. The Six of Swords here, and then you've got the Eight of Cups here. It's like then you move away, and then it disappears, and then you move on. Or is there a fear of moving on with the Six of Swords? And the King of Cups here next to it with the Five of Swords. There's loss through lack of love. Oh yeah, this feels like somebody, because I'll explain why, but this isn't your particular scenario. Try and shift it a little bit to see if it will fit, because I'll explain what I can see. Steadiness, the ability to get out of life what you want. Once again, steadiness, working hard, strong mindset, the ability to stick to things. You're not very wavery. You're a solid person, but there's an edge to you that gets possibly bored here. There's an edge to you that possibly could be attracted to somebody else and miss a relationship that feels as if it's quite maintained and contained. and that may have suited you at one point. There's a fear here of moving on, but there could possibly be another person here, but there will be loss if this track is taken. Another way to think of this with the Six of Swords and these moving on cards and the healing card is that you may have felt that there wasn't in your past relationships enough love, although it fulfilled another part which was quite solid, but where, you know, when things, perhaps when you've been in a relationship for a while, you know, especially if there isn't any sex here with the russet orange in here, or the sex isn't fulfilling towards you, you may want to move on somewhere else. So that may be something that's more important to you than you perhaps realise. Where you're searching for me, and if we're looking at blind spots, you're searching for security, but you also need a bit of passion. You need to be kept alive. Maybe you've, because of the amount of secure cards in here, maybe you followed that path a little bit too heavily and forgot that you actually need somebody with a bit of bump to keep you going too. And if there is a feeling of moving on here, you also as well, and this is like a tall order, isn't it? It's not really, but it's the need to feel love. And to feel love. You know, you've got the king at the end. It's not like a page. And there's a feeling here of time in this one as well. It feels like a relationship over a period of time metamorphoses into something different. And maybe during that time you start off with your ideal, or what is an ideal relationship, an ideal situation. And then you get bored, and then it changes into something else. Either you miss the love, or your mind, as you've grown older maybe, you have changed to wanting less security, more affection, more compassion, and more passion, maybe. Let's have a look at your person over here. The High Priest may be somebody that you're thinking about here. So that has got a Taurusy type feel, which will fit in with these cards here. If it's not, it's somebody maybe earthy, somebody who is structured in what they want out of life. They have an ideal which I think would follow a path that is generally accepted as not being off the beaten track. But why have you got this here, which is off the beaten track? You may be choosing people that fulfill, you got the Knight of Pentacles here as well, and the Juno card, which is the card of marriage. You possibly have always, or maybe still be looking for a marriage partner, but then you don't actually like the thought of being too... I'm trying to think of the words here without sounding wrong. It's like you need a bit of spice in your life as well. You don't want it to be too steady, too dull, too methodical, too predictable with these cards here. But you also need to feel loved. So that's a funny feeling, that could be like a mixture of somebody who likes security but not dullness. And too much of anything can feel like it chokes us, can't it? So your blind spots at the moment, what I can see here is the need to find somebody that makes you feel loved. The need, you may not be accepting this, possibly, I don't know, or understanding it. The need to know that you need some form of security, but for you to bring that spark into the relationships and not expect the other person to do it may be easier on yourself, because you are the magician in the middle after all, so you can do basically anything if you set your mindset rolling in the correct form. It's for you to spice up the relationship, because the High Priest here is like, he's very secure in where he sits. He's not looking outside himself. He's having things given to him, and then he's translating that in a very different way to the Magician. The Magician is nearer to the Fool card. All the energy coming through is a lot rawer. There's no such word. Like a lion, being more roaring. While that Hierophant here is probably settled with the information that's come with them, and it's just been given to them, and then they're putting it out into the world. So you could possibly translate this raw, wild, cold energy from the Fool through to the Magician, get things moving, and make life. Maybe you've looked at other people to provide something that you need yourself. When this person here is probably thinking, well, I gave you security, or I tried to love you, and, you know, giving you back what, basically reflecting bits of yourself back at you, but maybe you hide this bit a little bit more. The wilder bit of yourself, the bit that needs change, the bit that needs excitement, the bit that gets bored quite quickly. Well, your person with the High Priest, the Juno card here, is marriage material to me. You know, that sort of long commitment at least. And the Juno is marriage. And you've got this in the centre. But these are the cards. You know, if you're singing that Sesame Street song, like one of these things is doing the wrong thing, it's these two, they're doing the wrong thing. What are they doing in this spread? And you've got the Rest of Orange and the Son of Wands down here. It's that ability to create, it's that a sexual power, it's that power where, you know, you want to create, you want life to be, to have lots of different avenues to take. But why do you choose the secure one, and then possibly to feel loved? And the thought of moving away from that love could be just a bit more threatening than you'd actually like. Okay, so there's lots of questions in this one. To me, it makes me think of somebody, it doesn't have to be you, who may be in a long-term relationship, and maybe their choices or their affections are elsewhere, or their choices are changing. Or what's the word inside yourself when you've got a taste? Your tastes are changing. So, right, now I've gone through that. So what are your blind spots in love? Your ability to think that the other person could possibly, maybe even, I'm going to say this in a tough way, to maybe blame the other person for not bringing excitement into the situation, when it might be a good idea for you to do it because you're possibly doing it in a far more exciting, individualistic way than they could. For you to take charge of that. To realise that you possibly need security in a relationship, and that's part of who you are, and getting your own needs met, and that's fine. And to realise as well that if there's no affection, not enough love for you to feel secure or to feel happy or to feel like it's worth investing in, to possibly move away even if that feels threatening, is probably what I would say here with regards to, that's a strange conclusion to blockages. Talking to myself on that bit. Your blockages are understanding your own needs. Your blockages are not understanding that you've got so much power inside you that you can bring whatever you want to a relationship, and that will change the format of the relationship, if that makes sense. And your blockages are possibly not understanding or not acknowledging how much you really do need to be loved. Yeah, the way that these cards fall. Because there is a feeling here, and I'm not talking to anybody in particular, and they're just, they're cards, and so I don't know. And I'm saying this because it sounds insulting, but there's a lot of what I guess are secure feelings in here with the king at the end and with this movement away. It's like you start moving away from a relationship because either you're not getting the love or you didn't realise how much you really needed to have that exchange when you possibly could have been concentrating on security. So this has got an earthy feel to it, this pile here, but it's got a tinge of you wanting excitement too. So to move towards that may actually unblock some of those blind spots. And I feel that you've also chosen quite steady partners with the High Priest and the Juno there. As I said, I don't know, but that's what those cards say to me. So I'm going to leave that there, pile number 3. An earthy pile with a feeling of needing excitement and to make that yourself, and then you will be basically more in your power than in somebody else's power. And the ability or the need to acknowledge that you need to be loved, or you will start moving away anyway. These here speak to me. If they're not fulfilled, and it's just these Pentacle cards and these secure cards are fulfilled, that you will become restless. And to maybe not to, because of these cards here, is not to push this on, because your person's coming across as very much, I can fulfill this bit, but not this bit. So you may have to do that for them, is what I'm saying. And that may be your blind spots waiting for them to change for you. You've got to somehow instigate it because you've got the Magician card in the centre there. Pile number 3. I'm going to go. I hope that makes sense to you. I'm going to leave you. Thank you very much. Bye.